Okay. Um, as you can see, there's a little critter here who needs some attention. She decided right when the stream is starting, it's time to be held, time for a hug. So I might do about 5 minutes of just kind of recapping where we're at here, because I've only got one hand available. So yesterday, last stream, URL bar is basically almost done. Like probably, I would say 80%, right? We've only got these two items left for a user profile and then this more menu. And again, these things do things when we open them up. Um, we I don't think I'm going to do the menus for those. But then the next step would be the browser bookmark bar. If I open that up, and I don't have any right now, let's bookmark a couple things, I guess, so we can uh, see what that looks like. Okay, so all bookmarks is a button that exists, but we can also pin things. And so this is good to have. Let's do a couple things from my site, just so we have some different. Oh, okay, hold on. Bookmarks manager. I wonder how I get that little folder back. And then of course we know that we can get rid of the name entirely if we just want the favicon. So those are our two bookmarks. And I think it'll have to be treated similarly, right, to how I was doing the extensions yesterday, where, come on, desktop, where we go over to this guy, maybe I can provide some extension sets, or rather sets of bookmarks, but ultimately it's going to be up to, I'll have like a handful, and then users can choose if they need more. They have to build more. I also realized yesterday when I was doing the chapter titles for this stream that like I don't think I want preferred values here because I don't need them. If I take an instance of extension container, darn it, copy, paste. Um, because I'm using that slash naming, I kind of, in a way, get preferred swaps for free because they're all hidden behind this little slash as a folder. So no need to do local ones. And I think this is better because, or I'm sorry, not local, but preferred. I think that this is a better setup because it puts you in this folder of local components instead of preferred swaps. And so for the person who needs 4 extensions, 5 extensions, more than what I've offered here, they're going to want to be in local components anyway, right? If I use preferred swaps, they're going to have to do just a couple more clicks, a little bit more work to get out of the preferred swaps into their local components and then select the local component that they want. So I kind of prefer this setup when it comes to providing list-like things, where you start folks off with some common combinations or a common number that they're dealing with, and then knowing that they might need more, and might need to build their own. Oh, this cat. Okay, well, and let me talk a little bit about what could come after the bookmarks bar, right? Because then we will have color mode. We will have the anatomy done at that point, right? The anatomy of our browser Chrome, this frame right here, will be in place. And I think that means I could start to move on to the next collection, which would be browsers as modes. And that one's going to get really interesting because as I've been doing this project and thinking, trying to think forward a little bit about like how this is going to go, part of me kind of has doubts about whether browser as modes is an appropriate way to use variable modes because of all those inconsistencies that I identified in previous streams. there's just going to be so many hidden layers and so many different little composition changes. Like we would have, I think, a lot of Booleans. And I don't know that overrides would persist all the time, right? So we'll see. I think I want to see how it goes and kind of get a feel for what it feels like to switch between those modes before I make a decision. But there is a possibility. There's a possibility that what I decide to do is eliminate browser modes as part of the offering, I guess, of this file. And instead just stick to the other two collections, which is color theme and then operating system. And then you would have to choose, there would just be 3 browser Chrome frames to choose from. Like if you want Firefox, it's already set up and you can decide Firefox Light, Dark, Windows, Mac, but you only get Firefox with that. And what that means, the benefits of that is that like I can really optimize the layers. I can optimize the layers. Whereas here, I might have to do some weird trade-offy, workaroundy things to make everything work as one browser Chrome thing. But the cat has abandoned me, so we can actually start working now. And I timed it right. That was about 5 minutes. So let's get these icon buttons sorted out. Okay, hover state seems similar as those other guys. So I am just going to come over here and again, we can duplicate. So we've got icon button, user profile, and we want an image in these. Except it's not going to be extension logo. It's going to be profile picture. And we've got default and hover. Let's see though. I'm going to need light mode back. So whatever this color is, I want that same one. So the extensions are the same. Oh, so I actually should have taken one of these. I'm going to do that. That was silly to take one of those other guys. And let me go back to dark. There we are. Again, instead of extension logo. And actually, we don't even need this to be a nested instance. I don't think we want it to be a nested instance because we're not swapping it with anything. Let's call this profile picture. So when you're working with this, it's just a matter of, oh, hold on. I got to get rid of some stuff, and I've got some crummy property names here. State. Okay, there we are. Same for this one. State. Let's measure this though real quick because I'm not convinced that that image is the right size. Yeah. Needs to be about, I don't know, 6 pixels taller? 20 pixels, okay. And we will center it up. Hello, center, center. Okay, what's up with that? Is it some auto layout thing? No. I wonder why that wasn't working. Okay, well, and I guess, I guess it's always going to be a circle, so we should also put on this, yeah, that radius. And then we have the more menu, right? Yes, this is where our icons are. We've got menu, center, center. And what color is that? Let's bring this back over to planning. I imagine it'll be the same as over here. In fact, yeah, let's just draw a rectangle, sample the color, bring open our variables, because I think I could reuse something here. Again, extension button. Yeah, 4.7. So this could use the same as extension button. Extension button foreground. Cool. And then assuming that will be consistent in dark mode. Okay. All right. So that gives us these two items, and then we can put these in this frame, just like that. All right. Yeah. That's that. Bookmarks bar. We are moving on to bookmarks bar. So if I paste this in here, bookmarks. Let's again kind of figure out the height of that. Just gonna take this kind of a screenshot here. We'll line it up. Oh, darn it. See what kind of extra height we have. $34. Awesome. Okay. We'll give it a fill for now. It's going to probably use the same fill here, URL bar background. So let's grab that. The names of these things were specific to these layers that they contain. I might need to update them to make it make some sense. Yeah, we'll see. But 34 pixels is what it was. Okay, and then in the bookmarks bar, we're going to need some bookmarks. And so let's again take a couple screenshots. I don't want the tooltip in there. I have to like hover with just enough just for long enough to get the hover effect, but not the tooltip. All right, so we've got that for dark mode. Let's do light mode. Excellent. Okay. And yeah, I'm kind of looking at the size of these. I wonder if we could once again borrow these. I'm gonna grab a copy of this whole main component. Like, how does this compare in size? Okay, the other one's a little bigger. We want something that's more, what, 28 by 28? Yeah. And then 14 by 14 inside. So let's swap this out for extension logo, 14 by 14, but we're going to want something else there. And then this is going to be 28. All right. And then for our colors here, let's see. I kind of feel like we already have this gray somewhere. Where might this gray already exist? This is F2. Yeah, background hover. So it is the same extension button. And just to be certain, 5.0, Yep, there it is. Okay, so that's all using the right colors now, but now I want to do a little bit of cleanup. Oh, and we're going to need an optional string here, right? Like this. So let's, is this using auto layout? Yes. So we want that. We want some kind of space in between. Let's do 4 pixels. Let's set these to hug. We'll call this name because that's what it's called in the browser. And I wonder if there's a limit. Alice's shop with a long title. Yes. Good. Okay. Let's figure out how long exactly that runs. 115. Okay. So this has a max width of 115. And once it reaches that max width, we want it to truncate. So let's test this out. Come on. Paste in Alice's shop with a long title. Perfect. Same effect. Good. Good, good. Okay. And we are going to need some padding on these guys. Maybe something like 4 pixels. Maybe 2 on the top and bottom. We'll figure it out. Okay. So let's take name. Make sure it's available in both variants. My goodness. Grab that. We're going to want this to be a property. And I know that this is going to be name. And we want the visibility to be optional. Name. So that way when you're working with it, well, we want those to be in a slightly different order. Make sure the curly arrow goes beneath the prop. Cool. And then the dimensions need to get sorted out. Probably by default, let's have this off. I feel like that's how most folks are about it. Maybe, and we might need more. 28 by 28, yeah. 6 pixels. Might need 0 on the top and bottom. Yeah, the width is going to be mixed because that's set to hug, but we need at least 6 pixels. And so when this is in its hover state, hello, what was that about? Why does it do that? Oh, I don't have the max width. No, hold on. 26 hug. There we go. We actually might want even more padding, 8 pixels. Again, we're going to get to that. I'm looking and kind of comparing here. I think we also will probably want the text, again, that looks like it's maybe something like medium. And there's more space between. We can dial all of this in. That looks closer. 7 pixel space between is a super weird value, but it is what it is. All right, I'll take it. Cool. Icon button. This is not site information. This is a bookmark. So these guys are all using the same hover state as are these. Okay, let's build a couple bookmark sets real quick. So again, set this up in such a way that's very similar to the extensions. Create multiple components. These are going to be bookmark set n. And we've got 1, 2, oops, 3. There we go. And we will take a bookmark set. What is going on? Hug. All of these should be set to hug. Yes. Take a bookmark set, go back to planning, go over to the bookmarks bar, paste that in. We want auto layout on this, and we want it to fill the container. And we've got our bookmark set. And so now, woo, we've got our browser Chrome, and we can change it between light and dark. It looks like this was forced into light mode, but that's it. It's working. It is working across color modes. We have Chrome color modes done. That is exciting. And now we can get the spacing dialed in. Oh, cool. All right. I do a little bit. I actually, before we do that, before we go into that, I think I do, even though these are separate, or I'm sorry, they're using all the same variable right now. I might want them separate. Like this is using the extension background hover. So we originally started with that here. And even here, like page refresh, page forward. This is using, it's hard to see the names. Right. Page refresh is using page back. Because that was the first one we started with. We've got new tabs and search tabs. Though with the, oh, no, because it's different in dark mode. I hope that's right. We should check real quick. Okay, let's check on extension. No, we'll check on, oh, these are named the same. More menu. And this is not an extension button, this is icon button. Oh, and actually we don't even need that because we are in a section called icon buttons. And so we have new tabs, search tabs, page back. Yeah, we don't need to be doing. Oh, my mouse is so jittery. We'll do extension with logo. Hold on. Oh no, this is the profile picture. Gosh, profile, user profile. This is the more menu, and this is bookmark. Okay. And then these are icon buttons too, and they need to go in this section, which I kind of don't want to use again for the same. Extension manager. How about that as a name? And then we've got extension, just like you have bookmark. The same way this would be add bookmark. What happens though if you're already on a bookmarked page? I guess bookmark manager, the same way you have an extension manager. Okay. And then taking all those, we can take the current name and say icon button slash, again, for the same reason of we kind of get preferred swaps for free when we do it this way. I wonder what happens actually in the asset panel when we do both icon button. Because the nice thing about a section is that this gives you a way to link to multiple components, and that can be so good for documentation. But I want to see in the assets what that does to us. So this is the page we're on. We've got all this stuff. Let's look at, yeah, this is it as a list. Show subfolders. Icon button, icon button. Otherwise, though, without subfolders, it just gets flattened. So that does, okay, that's interesting. All right. Right, I wanted to check dark mode. I got lost. I wanted to check dark mode for the extension manager variable. And let's update that name too. So or well, rather not the, oh, I've gotten turned around. Okay, I think I want to check it for user profile. Is this gray 5.0? Yes, that is the same. Good. Okay, so that's that one. The more menu, is it brighter, or is this a trick about surface area? It's the same. Okay, good. For the bookmarks, we'll be sure here. 5.0. Okay. And that's, I think, all I needed to check, because these ones, this is where it originally came from. Okay, so that is good. And again, I could repeat these. Oh, that might be cleaner. I think it might be easier to manage. So let's make sure for each of these icon buttons that we do have, you know, the same, we have a variable set up. So we've got new tab, that one's handled, and we only have foreground here, but what are you using? Oh, there is a generic icon buttons hover. That's right. That's how we did that. But this isn't so generic that we're using it everywhere. So I'm going to go back on what I was doing earlier, and I'm going to put this into new tab. And then when it comes to search tabs, we'll duplicate it, put it into search tabs. And even though this one is using new tab, I'm going to do this, right? It's using new tab, but we want it to be using search tab. Even though it's the same, it's the exact, they're duplicates of each other, except for dark mode default. What? The foreground is different. I guess that's why, okay, that's why they had to be separate in the first place. All right, page back. That is our next one in the list. I'm going to match the order here. Page back, we've got all this information. Page forward, let's duplicate this. Page back to page forward, put it beneath, and then swap all of these variables using our selection color. So we've got the next one down. This should be page forward. Good. Okay. Page refresh. Similar deal, except we don't have disabled this time. Duplicate. Page refresh. We don't need disabled state, but we do need to take these and update down here to the next group, page forward. It makes sense that they were using page back. Okay, then we've got icon button, site information. This is just going to be icon button, site information. That one is all set up. Good. Icon button, bookmarks, bookmark manager. All we have is the foreground here. And this one is using, okay, yeah, we need to take, this is using the site info group. Yeah, it's using its background default as the hover state, which I don't think is even right. But I think we tested it just yesterday, and it worked fine. So I'm going to put this in here. And this is not background default now, but hover. And we need to update this because this is the bookmark one to be using that instead. Okay, then we have user profile, which is using the extension manager stuff. So let's actually put that, let's put extension manager. Let's swap these. So we've got extension manager sorted out. The next one that we need to get sorted out is icon button bookmark. So we'll duplicate this. Single bookmark. And then again, we want to take our selection colors and update them. We don't need a foreground because it's an image in this one. It'll always use the favicon. Then we have the more menu. Oh, well, we are going to need the foreground for this one. So I'll steal that real quick. Where did that just run away to? Duplicate. Why did that also move it? That was so crazy. Okay, so instead of bookmark, we've got more menu, foreground. And again, we need to update our selection colors because we are currently in extension manager, but we want more menu and just go like with like here. Yes, okay, good. And then icon button extension. Yeah, and these are different because we've got 16 by 16 and 14 by 14. Extension. And we don't need foreground in this one either. Okay, so now we have for each of those components. Is there a way to resize? No. Each of these components has a set of variables. And I think this whole dilemma came up with another piece, but I don't quite remember what it was. It might have been around the tabs. We will uncover it. But let's get into that next collection. So we had color theme, and now we are going to have browser. And we can start with the tab bar. I want fresh screenshots. I don't think I need all of this stuff anymore. I don't want to, yeah, start fresh. This needs to live somewhere else at some point, but we'll keep it for now. Okay. Cool. Browser. Spacing. This is where we're going to do a lot of naming things off of layers, right? Because we have this first, we'll start from the top, we'll start from the tab bar, and we are going to want to compare across these the padding, right? So let's create a number variable, and I have a feeling I'll do T for top, B for bottom, L for left, and R for right. For instances where I want to combine left and right, I'll use arrows like this. But otherwise, I think we're going to do a lot of isolated padding. So, right, and I already tried to guess here, padding 8. Let's set up our modes as well. I'm going to drag this down just a bit so we can see. The default's going to be Chrome, Safari, Firefox. I think I'm kind of going off of like browser popularity generally there. Yeah. So put this back up here. Hello. Okay. And again, let's kind of like what we did in color theme, get organized with our groups first, which we need a variable to do it. But the first group is going to be, I think we're going to have to do it similarly. Like we're going to have, we won't need to collect things into browsers in this way because this is all going to get aliased in to browser, right? So we might actually just be able to collect things into, we can call this spacing, but we will have a collection for, if I create another one here, color, and actually put this back into all variables. This is going to be, for example, yeah, color theme. And then we will have to have here light, and we'll duplicate this dark. Because this is going to be where we bring in, we will duplicate all of these variables across all the browsers, right? We've only done Chrome. And we will have to duplicate all of them and put them in here and map them against these modes. That's going to be the work. But for now, we're focused on spacing. And so again, we can follow our anatomy here, tab bar. So this is within spacing, where's my little hash? Oh, that did not work well. Hold on, how did I do that before? I know I've done this before. There we go, this little hash, right, to represent it's a layer, it's not a component. Tab bar, padding top of the tab bar, right? This is where something like dev mode could actually be quite helpful. So it looks like 8 pixels was wrong. I think we've got something closer to, oh, and we're gonna have to get all these little details like this little shine. 6 pixels is probably closer. Okay, 6 pixels for Chrome, what is it for Safari? And let's actually, yeah, let's take a good look at Safari, because yes, I thought that these might have some padding on them. So let me actually grab a screenshot of this. I'm really curious to see if I draw a rectangle from the top of this, if those run evenly. 12. Oops. What was that? What did I just do? Oh, I set the appearance. Okay. 12. Okay, good. And for Firefox, I'm gonna actually put this back up here. Oh, super thin. 4. Cool. And now that we have a single variable, we can access another collection here. So the top padding for this section, padding top. And of course, we see no change. We shouldn't see too much of a change because I think we went from like 8 to 6 for Chrome. But what this gives us access to is browser. And when we go to Safari, when we go to Firefox, awesome. Now, I want to be scoping these because this is going to get really crazy really fast. So I wish this was off by default. I almost wish they forced you to do this, or that I could, in my own user settings, say something like, hey, make me scope everything. This is about auto layout. This is padding as an auto layout setting only. Okay, cool. Padding top. How about left and right? For Chrome, 7. Maybe it's actually 6. Let's see if it's 6 on both sides. And if we're going to want to do it that way, it could be 0 over here. It might not really matter. I think it's fewer variables if we do both of them the same. So let's, for now, number padding again. If it's the same, this is going to be the other forcing function here. If all 3 browsers can have the same left and right padding, then we will do this. But if 2 of them, let's say Chrome and Safari, both use 6 pixels left and right, but Firefox doesn't. It has weirdly separate values. Then we're going to have to split it up. So what did I say, 6? Let's put our rectangle back. Yeah, 6. I think I need to reorganize my screenshots to match the order of the modes. Okay. Let's start with, again, the right side. Oh, and I'm going to need a fresh screenshot to account for the padding of this. $12. And what does 12 look like on the other end of things? Can we get away with 12? We could. We could easily do 12. Cool. And good to see it's consistent with the top and bottom. And for Firefox. Now this is a weird one because I've got this huge amount of space over here. And that's exactly what I predicted, didn't I? 2 of them have like 6 and 6, 12 and 12, or like 6 on both sides, 12 on both sides. This one's going to be weird. Oh, I keep taking like extra screenshots by accident. So this one's going to be super weird. and it's like sitting on a half pixel. 43, let's call it 42. And it's going to have to be padding right. 42. Oops, duplicate, and then padding left. And let's figure out what padding left is for Firefox. There is maybe an argument to be had. 13. Such a weird number. There's an argument to be had here that we could continue to call this left and right, but then for Firefox, only apply it. We don't have, just because it's named left and right, doesn't mean it has to be applied to left and right, but that can get confusing, right? So, and there's also something here that we could do too. It's like if we want these to be consistent, could we not do padding? Could we not reference, like alias this value into here? Could. That makes it a bit more strict, right? It makes it so it can't get out of whack. Right? You would have to adjust one. I think I might try that. It feels kind of odd to do. And I don't like that value. We're doing 12. I'm not gonna have 13 as a padding value. That's icky. Icky and bad. Okay. So padding right. Oh, and did we scope these? Probably not. Edit. We want this only for auto layout. Padding right. Padding left. And we have no padding on the bottom, I think, for all of them. Ooh, that's not true. Hold on. That's not true for Chrome. Padding bottom. It'll be 0 for Chrome because we need everything to be kind of sitting low and attaching to the next piece of anatomy, which is the URL bar. But for Safari, oh, and for Firefox, we're going to need some sort of type here. How about Safari? I know that Mihai was asking me about this, what I was going to do. If I go to my settings, when I go to compact tabs, yeah, that's weird. Excuse me. But we are going to need bottom padding for Safari specifically. Unsurprisingly, it is 12. And again, for this one, we could have it all based off of the one on top. Padding top. Padding top. If they are all 12, this becomes the main controller for the rest of these. Okay. Padding, I wish my arrow keys were working in here. Padding bottom. All right, good. I'm wondering about this auto layout alignment. Let's reduce the number of tabs in here. Whoa. Oh, okay. We'll need to put a max width at some point on tabs, which will again be part of spacing. We'll have a component, a group named after that component. What else in here though besides padding? I guess we just keep going in deeper and deeper, right? Tabs and controls, which is this whole part. Safari won't, that's going to be weird for Safari because the tabs are another part of the anatomy. And for Firefox, it behaves similarly to Chrome. This will probably be tabs and controls for Safari. Let's go ahead and put that maximum width on our tabs. Take a screenshot, bring it in. Just because that will help with, it'll help. 232. So again, in the world of spacing, we want a number variable, and we will call this max width. And we will put it in a group, and this is going to belong specifically to a component called tab. And the max width of a tab in Chrome is 232. And the max width of a tab in Safari is infinite. They go on forever in this format. So we'll do 9,999. And Firefox, this appears to be the max width of a tab. Oh, I kind of already had it. Well, no, this was the squished down version. So 221. Very strange numbers. All right, good. And then we go to phase 1. We've got our tabs. Now, where do we put this? I suppose on this outer edge, right? Max width, 232. Great. And again, scope, width, and height. Good. And so when we are working with tabs, well, actually, no, when we go back to planning, we should be able to see. There it is. These are no longer spanning the full width. Wonderful. Okay. So tabs and controls. And this is another one where, again, in Chrome and Firefox, it's fine that it is filling. This we do want to be in the bottom. But for Safari, again, if Safari's tab and controls is limited to this piece, we do not want it to fill all available. Well, no, I suppose we could. It'll look something like, shoot. It'll look something like, dang it, like this. Like the frame that goes around these things. I think it'll be here if it's hugging, but if it's filling, it's going to do this, which isn't bad. But then what does that mean for this container and this container? this will be its own, like this is our URL input, right? And so that's going to have, well, it won't have a max width because Safari is kind of weird like that. Like, again, this is where percentages for Safari, that would really come in handy here. So this will be filling. This will be filling up against it. And I guess, you know what, hopefully this is just dead center because then they can all be set to fill. Again, though, we're gonna have to, we're gonna encounter some weird stuff. So, okay. So we've been worrying about, can this set to fill? Yes, it's fine. Is the bottom alignment, does that make sense? It makes sense for Chrome, but for Firefox, we probably want it to be center. So how do you deal with that? Probably the way you deal with it, I mean, we do want these to be in alignment, is, again, you can adjust the padding. Yeah. So, again, in spacing, we have tab bar, and within tab bar, we're going to have another number variable with a subgroup because we have tabs and controls. And this is going to be padding bottom specifically that we need to but this is set to hug and it's already 0. What is this hugging on that is so dang tall? It's this. So once we get the padding of our tabs figured out, actually we might not need this because these are going to grow in height. So let's work on tabs. Let's work on tabs. So then instead, you don't need that group. We can put this in here. Padding for tabs. Let's grab a tab. And start kind of working on this. I kind of want to work on the innermost pieces first, like getting the typography right, getting the size of that icon right, will help determine things. So within tab, I'm going to count, let's see, do we want spacing? Typography could be its own. Yes. Yes, it's going to need to be its own group. So not within spacing. Oh, what am I doing? Typography, right? Typography will change across browsers. So we're going to need just a general font family. It better be the same. Like, there's no way they're using different fonts in like the tabs in the URL bar. That would be bananas. But then within typography, again, not color, we will have probably different font weights. Well, let's not assume. We're going to have a number variable for different font sizes. Like, I can tell already that this is a larger font size than this. So font size, and we'll put that in a group, and then this can get organized by components, right? So our tab is going to be one of the first things that we do, and the font size of our tabs will change across components. So let's grab just this text layer, Alice's blog, and let's get this sorted out. First, let's see if we can match the font. Actually, hold on. Let's just Google it. What font does Google Chrome use? Google Sans. Non-existent Sans. Okay, Arial is something we have access to. Let's go with, oh, and it's already Arial. All right. Is it 13? That's kind of close. Is it 13 and a half? No, that looks too tall. yeah, you can see the differences. This might be a situation where we have to go close enough. Droid sounds. Oh my gosh. That might have been for an older one. Yeah, what version of Chrome are we even in? God. Let's see. Oh. Let's see if we can get into the dev tools. I'm not quite sure where to go looking. Do we have Calibri? It's not Arial Narrow. Arial might be our best bet for now. And I guess we'll go with 13. It's gonna really throw things off. I know it will. Like, this will start to be a thing where the rectangles I draw here aren't going to be the actual numbers I need because the font, like the type, is going to take up a different amount of space than what's in the screenshot, you know? We will do our best, though. Okay, so that's Chrome. Safari. Let's... Cute kitten. We are obviously going to need something smaller, something like 12. What font does Safari use? It's probably San Francisco, as I thought. So Pro. Which I know is available. But again, like if Figma's in the browser, not everybody who uses Figma is on, excuse me, a Macintosh. So I don't want to set this to San Francisco. So again, making some compromises. We're going to go with Arial. What font does Firefox use? Oh, did they use enter? That would be so cool. Maybe medium. Doesn't quite look like, yeah, the G is not right. Let's try these other ones. These maybe proprietary. Zilla Slab. No, should have known that. Metropolis. We do not have Metropolis, so we will use enter. Enter 11. Okay, cool. Which means we can come over here. Label. Font size. 13. Again, edit. We want this to only be 4 font size. Okay, so that's that. Now, oh, we got to figure out these other elements. The favicon, which is going to be part of spacing. There's kind of a question about how to organize things, right? Like, I could flip this where we have one single group called tab, and within tab, we have spacing and typography, but instead we're kind of focusing on like these different elements and then using subgroup, like tab is repeated twice, but tabs have typography, tabs have spacing. I suppose that flipping this would be a bit more like how things are organized in Figma, where like you have an element and then within that element you have access to its attributes. Instead of taking the attributes and then looking at them across elements. Do I want to reverse this at some point? I don't think it matters ultimately. I think it's like how, like what makes sense to you or to me. And again, the point of these variables is not for folks to be in here editing them. People shouldn't need to touch this really. Um, Something to think on. Okay, I'm kind of running out of steam here, so I'm going to look at the inventory and see what got done. We've got our component inventory. Oh, okay, well, we had color theme, but yeah, how to keep track of the variables. Right, we were kind of, oh, here we go. Oh, I should have consulted this from the get-go. And this one I was organizing by, that's so funny. I am organizing by the piece of anatomy, which I guess is like consistent with the other collection. I mean, in here we're only dealing with color, so it's kind of easy. But in browser, yeah, like let's look at something that's kind of gnarly. I mean, like the tab, favicon dimension, close icon dimension. The label gets a group. Seeing this, and I'm thankful to my past self for doing this work of planning this out. I do kind of like how this looks. So, okay, but I don't have it in me to do that reorganizing right now. I'm going to save that for the next stream. I'm going to come back the next one and reorganize the variables first and then go through that inventory list and check things off or strike through on the items that we have made. And better follow my own inventory. I forgot I even did that. Cool. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.